Centering it for Stanley. Cam Stanley with his second goal.
550, 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, one man to beat, and it's Traylon Shepard into the house.
That one swung on, hit deep into left center field, and it is out of here.
Welcome to our coaches show here today, joined by head coach James Hicks. Coach Hicks, talk about the season real quick. Let's go into last season, kind of build up what you got going on this year. You guys finished 8th, your 3rd straight top 10 finish at Nationals. Just right. What do you have to do to build a program like that?
I think it's all about just kind of being consistent with your recruiting. Just making sure you get the guys that fit the program instead of kind of getting guys you think are talented. Making sure you get guys that fit Cumberland, fit your coaching style, and just want to work hard. So a few years ago, we were more deliberate about the recruiting, getting the right type of guys, and I think that's helping us out a lot. You know, the last few years we've been in the top 10. And we're looking to take some steps forward still.
You finished second in the conference, second at the conference tournament. You have 4 conference champions. You're returning 3 of those guys.
Right.
And 2 All-Americans. Talk about those guys.
Yeah. Down at 133, we got Sammy Shires. You know, he's a Tennessee boy from Clarksville. Came out as a freshman. Started a little slow, but went on a tear at the end. So we're excited about his future, excited to have him for 3 more seasons. Looking forward to that. Eli Clemens, he's going up a weight. He's a hometown kid, like he's from here in Lebanon. He's definitely doing well for us. Didn't know what we would get out of him when we signed him. He wrestled for Pastor Pratt, who's a friend of the program, and he helps us out a lot. So he wrestled for Pastor Pratt. And we kind of brought him in on a whim. We knew he was talented, but didn't know what we would get. And he's definitely exceeding like expectations, like the initial expectations. Super hard working kid, gets after it every single day. A vocal leader, the kind of guy we kind of needed on the team, and a young guy. And then we got Cole Smith. You know, so he's been the man here for the last 3 seasons. You know, he's been our main guy. He's our captain. And respecting him to have another good year, getting back at the top of that podium. But, you know, Cole, he's going to do Cole things. We know he's going to do well. We just got to make sure he wins it again this year.
Coach, kind of flipping the script into this year. To start the year, you had to make some coaching changes. Tyler left and took a head coaching job. And then you're bringing back, you know, one of those Mid-South Conference champions from last year, Ryan Long, as well as Nate Crowley, who was an assistant for you before, and then an All-American here. What does it mean to have those guys in the room with all these guys?
It's awesome. I always try to get our guys to come back. They understand Cumberland. They understand campus. They understand how things work here outside of wrestling. So that helps when we got the young guys coming in. They, even when down to something like registering for classes, like this is how you do that, like all those little things we do here. So that helps. And you know, Nate was an assistant before for several years, and he was a good assistant. Decided to move on and go to high school, and decided it wasn't his cup of tea at the end of the day. So he's back in there. He's very passionate about wrestling, very passionate about helping people. So he's going to make an impact right away. Already is making an impact. So I'm happy to be able to bring him back. And Ryan was just like a steadfast force in our lineup last year. Very mature guy, familiar face for the guys. So like a lot of our guys tend to do, we didn't leave the area. So, you know, since I've been here, we've had a bunch of guys that just hang around the area. You know, it's a great area to be in, Middle Tennessee, Nashville, Murfreesboro area. So decided to bring him on this year. He's going to specialize in a lot of the strength and conditioning aspect of it. And he's in here rolling every day, mentoring the guys. So we think we got a good group. A coaching staff is a team within a team. So I think I got me a good team, and we'll see how it goes.
Coach, preseason rankings came out a couple days ago, last week. You guys were 13th on the list, which I believe is the highest y'all been in a while for the preseason polls.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I don't try to put too much validity into it. Like I said, we're never really. I feel like we always, especially the last 5 years or so, finish way ahead of where we're ranked.
Yeah.
There's been years we've not been ranked at all in the preseason and been like top 10.
Yeah.
So try to not put too much into it, but it is nice to get some type of recognition. We obviously want to beat that ranking at the end. We don't want to be at 13. So it's a cool thing, and they do use it for qualifications. So we'll pay some attention to it just to make sure we get guys in there and get those qualifying spots. But we don't put too much validity into it. We always, overachieve that ranking. We do way better than where we're ranked at all the time. That happens all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
So let's talk about how the offseason's gone. What have you guys done in the offseason to prepare for this year?
Training was great with the guys we're bringing back. I think a big point, we didn't lose many of our freshmen from last year. So that doesn't get talked about a lot in wrestling, but a lot of guys quit wrestling. When you bring in these classes, and sometimes by senior year, there's 2 or 3 guys out of a class of 20 that makes it to the end. So, and then you lose most of them in that first year. We didn't really lose a lot of our freshmen, a lot of our young guys we brought in last year. So that's an accomplishment in itself, just based on the experience I've had with losing guys. So I feel like the last two years or so, we haven't lost very many guys, so we're not recruiting a bunch of guys every year. We're able to keep our culture intact and bringing the guys that know what to do. So I think that was a big part of the offseason, keeping the guys we have. And then we brought in some good guys, brought in some good freshmen. Tail Magnus from Harpeth, he's a state champ. He's doing good for us this year. We brought in a transfer, former All-American from Grandview, All-American for Arizona Christian a few years ago. Recruited him when he transferred out of Arizona Christian. We were in the top 2 with Grandview. He ended up going to Grandview. It ended up not working out, so he kind of doubled back, and we got him here now. So
that's a tough place to crack the lineup.
Right. So yeah, it didn't work out for him for whatever reasons, and we're just happy to have him. And we think he's going to do great this year for us too. Add some pop to the lineup for sure.
It makes it a little longer.
Right.
Top to bottom.
Right. For sure. We definitely I feel like we have more depth this year. I've moved some guys around, weight class. Guys have worked hard to put on some weight, moving around a little bit. So we're going to use the first couple tournaments to see how that's shaking out. But one of my goals was to get a little bit more depth, be able to sit Cole. Cole, he was wrestling. He wrestled a bunch of matches last year. I like to be able to sit him sometimes. So Sammy, same thing. So I feel like we got some depth, and that's going to help us out a lot.
Now, you kind of mentioned it there. How do you approach these opens and looking at those guys and evaluating those guys to when it's dual season?
Right, so you're just kind of seeing how they're competing. Preseason drives me nuts because you're working on certain things, but you really don't know until they start competing. Like the practice room is different from competition. So we're just working on things we want to be good at as a team, but each individual has their own specific things they probably need to be working on. And it's hard to tell that in practice all the time, so the practice room is just different. So we're just we're training, we're working on certain things, but you never know until they start competing. So you just evaluate when they start competing. You evaluate the way they're competing, what they're doing on the mat in competition, and then how they're responding to it. So that's how you can trust to put in the big matches and in the duels. So so-and-so lost a match because of X reason. How did he respond to that? Did he get back and put in the work? Did he put in work in that area to get better? Because ultimately that's the goal, is to continue to get better. and that's kind of our motto, which is why we always start ranked very low in preseason and we finish high. You know, we're trying to get better every week during the season. You know, so we expect guys to come in and get extra work and get better in their own specific areas. And the practice is for, you know, big things that the entire team needs to get better. But in our program, we also have the expectation of you want individual work. You want to come in and get individual work for you. And not everybody does that, you know. So you respond to that. You love the guys that are coming in and doing that. They're running the entire program. Because if you're not doing that, you're not doing the full program. That's part of the program, is the individual work. So you're definitely looking at the guys that are doing the full program and the guys that are actually getting the results on the mat, you know. And you definitely want to look at the momentum towards the end, or when it's time to wrestle duels, like who's got some momentum, who's wrestling well, that type of stuff. So that's usually how we make the decision on who cracks the lineup. We don't really do too many wrestle-offs unless it's absolutely necessary. Guys are just even, and we need to just let them wrestle to the side. But
Coach, you kind of talked about some of your key guys. Who are some other guys that you look to make an impact this season?
Those guys that made the tournament, Chris Busatil, he's at 125. He made the tournament, won a match. We're expecting him to make a jump. Eli Clemens, he's going to start at 165 this year. He's going to go up. You know, he's got like a crazy wingspan. So he's super tall. It seems like he gets taller every year still. I mean, he started at 149. This is his third year. He's went up every year a weight class. So we're going to see. I'm interested to see how he does up a weight with his length and his quickness up there. And he's been working out some. He's a worker, so I'm excited to see how he does. Rocco Horovic, we took him as a top 12 last year. He bumped up to 184, so he filled that spot in. We lost Austin last year. So, you know, he's a goer, he's a grinder, he wrestles very hard. You know, he gets after it, you know, so to the point where you got to pull him back sometimes, you know, slow him down, like he'll over wrestle. You know, I want to see how he does against those big guys, so super excited to see him in there. Jared Dean at 141, Elijah Griffin at 141. Both those guys in there getting after it in the room, competing for that spot. So I think both those guys will do well. And then got Victor Guzman. He got hurt last year. He was kind of banged up towards the end. Never really was able to get his feet on the room. He had some spurts last year, but nagging injuries. So he's a good wrestler. Like he's an All-American caliber wrestler. So I'm excited to see him compete, stay healthy, and get on the mat and do something for us this year.
All right, Coach. What else is going on as far as anything off the mats?
You know, we got some fundraising coming up. We're going to go back. We've done this before. We haven't done it in a while, but we're going to go back to our 100-minute wrestling marathon. So what it is, it's like we'll get the guys together. We're going to wrestle 100 minutes, and we'll have the guys send out, you know, requesting a donation, like a per-minute donation. So, for example, if somebody, you know, pledges $1 per minute for, you know, Cole Smith, you know, that's a $100 donation to the program. So we'll have the guys try to get out and get family, friends to donate, and we're willing to work for it. We're gonna get in here and wrestle 100 minutes, and that's certainly a marathon.
Yeah,
you know, that's a grind. So, you know, we'll probably do it in December around the break time where we're not wrestling. But we got that coming up. We hope to raise some money for, you know, to help with a little bit of the traveling we're gonna be doing this year. Maybe some new uniforms or something, some new equipment and stuff like that. So excited about bringing that back. We've always had success with it. So we'll see. This team usually responds well to anything I ask them to do. So we'll see how they do with this. You know, so I'm excited to see that for sure.
Well, you heard it here. If you want to donate, get in contact with Coach Hicks or one of the wrestlers, and they'll definitely point you guys in the right direction. Coach,
For sure.
we appreciate the time today. Best of luck this season.
Thank you, Kyle.